All right, mate, we're through to week 9 of the NFL season. I enjoyed last week. Some good bets, mate. The Bears one was a bit of a killer. How many minutes, how many seconds did you leave for? 56 seconds? That could have went on, if that.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. It was the defensive back shouting at the crowd that really sent me west.
Yeah, I came on afterwards. It's pretty good. I like that. All right, we'll get stuck into today's show. Before we do that, if you are enjoying the content, if you're listeners out there, please thumbs up, reviews, nice things on Spotify. I think we're up to 24 reviews, but I want to get that more before the end of the season. It gets our content out to a wider audience. Very much appreciated. First game we're going to talk about, mate, on Sunday night is the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons. Cowboys getting 3 at plus money 2.04. The total is 51.5. One of the highest of the week. No surprise there, Brad, but you're going to divide it, mate, split it in two, and take the Falcons to have major success over the still very banged up Cowboys defense.
Yes, it's looking like no Micah Parsons, isn't it? As it stands, I don't think he's practiced yet, but obviously he's quite important one way or the other. So the main reasoning here is a nice chart shared by Judah Fortgang, who got Substack at Throw the Damn Ball. It's got a nice chart of quarterback EPA when the play is disrupted, which I believe is pressure or perfectly covered, and when the play is not disrupted. So it's like an advanced version of when the QB is pressured or not pressured. And Kirk Cousins, when not disrupted, no pressure, one of the best in the league, top 5, 0.5 EPA per play. When he is pressured, he's worse than average, loses 0.5 EPA per play, which kind of lines up exactly what you would think, right? He's got an Achilles injury, he's 37 or something. If the play works and he can sit back there in his pocket, go through his reads, he's going to be good. If the play doesn't work, he can't create, he can't run away like Mahomes. And guess which NFL defense is dead last in disruption?
The Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then, so you got some nice pace angles as well. Falcons are 4th highest in neutral pass rate on the season, and they're 3rd in neutral pace on the season as well. So I think we're going to see nice pockets for Cousins. We're going to see a lot of pass plays and a lot of pace. So, yeah, Falcons over 27.5. So, what price did you see? You saw
I said 196 a matchbook. Yeah, that's a big price. Nice. That's a nice price, isn't it? Yeah, and a great number. Yeah.
And I don't mind if you want to come back. I think if you wait, you probably get a 51 if you want to go for the full game total, because Atlanta's defense 24th in drop back EPA, 4th lowest pressure rate. So you would think the Cowboys should have some success. And it seems like every week these high totals just get bet down late. So I reckon you'd probably get a 51 if you wait.
And even if you have more limited success for Cousins, there's a guy in the backfield that is tearing it up the last couple of weeks, Bijan, who could do some serious damage against this Cowboys team. Yeah, like it was one that jumped out at me earlier in the week as well, in terms of they're a fun watch, and there's a fun watch because their defense isn't that good either. So, yeah, the Falcons are going to have to score to win games, and that's just fine with us. So Falcons team total over 27.5. Brad's first bet there at 196. This is a guy I didn't think I'd be backing in a hurry, mate. Bo Nix passing yards against the Baltimore Ravens. Denver getting 8.5, 46.5 is the total. But if you back this number, 219.5 passing yards for literally any quarterback against the Ravens this season, it has gone over. They are not good against the pass, and we saw it again in previous weeks. They own Baker Mayfield, and look at the guy last week, famous bloody Jameis. He did a bit of damage there, so why can't Bo Nix? And it's not a huge number to surpass, even if they're playing catch-up, which we envision they will be at different points, given they're close to 9-point underdogs. And yeah, I think you can get this. The passing offense for the Broncos has opened up in recent weeks. There's a bit more trust in Nick Snow from Payne. And you know what? I've noticed the last couple of weeks, even when they do bring pressure defenses and they get to him, he's got a real good escapability. Now, obviously, that can translate into rushing yards as well, but he does stay alive in the pocket, and he's starting to figure it out a bit. It's a numbers play, really. If this was 250, I wouldn't be backing it, but just 219.5 to get to 220, you could have a situation where he's even got 100 yards in the start of the third quarter at halftime, and if script goes with them in terms of them chasing, then this is still very much a play even with a backdoor cover. So yeah, like I said, Ravens giving up the most passing yards per game in the NFL this season, and I think it's like 200 more than even the Jags, who are the next worst team at 31st. So yeah, give me all the Bo Nix this week, mate. Courtland Sutton potentially in play as well.
Yeah.
Mate, Broncos Ravens.
Not better. Yeah, Ravens are like bottom 5 in explosive pass plays allowed. Are they still banged up in the cornerback room? They're missing a few cornerbacks last.
Yeah. They're just some else. Yeah.
Either
way, they weren't good. They weren't great to begin with in terms of defending the pass this year, even with full bodies on there.
Yeah, well, they lost Mike McDonald, obviously, like a great defensive mind, probably. And they've installed a linebackers coach as defensive coordinator, and perhaps understandably they've fallen off.
They have indeed. Guy back last week, he actually got a touchdown, but his yardage didn't get there in the end. Evan Ingram, 50 plus receiving yards for the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Philadelphia Eagles. Brian Thomas Jr. banged up. We're recording this Friday afternoon. I don't know if he's going to go. He probably will, is the consensus I'm kind of hearing, but I'm not totally sure how good he will be or how fit he is. But I think one of the key parts here that Christian Kirk is obviously missing. And if you look back at last season, when Kirk has been out of the lineup, Ingram did quite well, 25.5% target share, and same pretty percentage for first read from Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, I like the matchup here. And in terms of where the Eagles play their safeties, they played the 2 high safeties, 6th most in versus other defenses across the league, and that is where Ingram does get plenty of success. So if they try to take away Brian Thomas Jr., there's going to be a bit of work open for Ingram. And again, they're in an underdog spot here, 7.5 point dogs, 188, 50 plus receiving yards. You could potentially pair that with 4 or 5 receptions and maybe get a better price of 2.4 or 2.5. And speaking of that better price, that is available at matchbook.com. We're proud to be associated with those guys this year. They have the bet builder, and you can populate singles off the bet builder by just doing that. And Brad's one there. I think, Brad, you were quite surprised with that price earlier. The Falcons team total 196 when it was only 1.8 something elsewhere. So yeah, there is good value to be had. If you want to get involved and check out Matchbook and use the bonus code POD50, POD50 when signing up, bet 50 and get 50 quid in free bets. So head on over there and have a look at that bet builder product. It is pretty good. All right, Brad, the Colts Vikings. We're truckling through here. We only covered 2 games in the order slate, but there's like 5 bets here between us. So we're going to spend a bit of time on this one. The Sunday night game. Joe Flacco is back. Anthony Richardson has officially tapped out. He's tired. So it is Joe's show here. And you like the Colts team total over 20.5. They're getting 5 points. The total is 47. 198, close to even money. You can back this. What's the reasoning, mate? The Vikings defense is obviously very good, but they're susceptible against the pass, right?
Yeah, I'm not convinced the Vikings defense is good. I think they're fine. I think they've got a good scheme but limited talent, and they can be figured out by a smart quarterback. And I think it's probably part of the reason that they bench Richardson this week for Flacco, because I think it would have been an absolute mess for Richardson against this lot. I think he would have completed 6 passes.
They confused the hell out of him too.
Yeah. Whereas, how old is Joe? 37, something like that. He's seen it all, and what he's willing to do is stand in the pocket and chuck it downfield. And that is absolutely where you can get the Vikings, as you would think. If they're sending so many random blitzers from all over the place, you can get them deep. So they've 14 completions against deep throws this season, tied for 4th most in the NFL. And we saw that the Flacco was good when he was in there because the receivers are good. It's Alec Pierce, Josh Downing, Pittman. They've got a young kid as well. Anyway, they've got 4 good receivers who all grade well by PFF. They grade well by ESPN's receiver metrics. And Flacco, he's been in there 125 plays this year, and he is 6th in adjusted quarterback efficiency. Those rankings I'm always talking about from Kevin Cole, 6th in the league this year. So the receivers are good. Flacco has shown a willingness to stand in there and chuck it downfield to them, and the Vikings can be got deep. So I feel like 20.5 doesn't really reflect all those things.
Absolutely. I'll slow it down a second here. Tell me, before you go to the Jefferson and the first quarter angle, tell me what the Joe Flacco. So this one isn't available in Matchbook. It's actually available elsewhere. But Flacco's longest completion over 35.5. And I'd say if you look back through his game log for the few games this season and last season, I think he nearly hits that with the Browns as well last year in nearly every game, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the exact same reasoning as I just laid out.
Yeah.
I think they're gettable deep, and I think he's going to chuck it deep. I think that's the way to get Minnesota. So yeah, first quarter. We think the Colts are going to have some success, and we also like first quarter over 9.5. And this is we played on the script a couple of weeks ago when we bet first quarter Minnesota, Detroit over. Those were the 1 and 2 offenses in the league in first quarter success rate. So Vikings still second in that a couple of weeks on. Colts are 13th, but as I say, for half the season they've had a quarterback who couldn't throw the ball. So I think we've got a little extra rest for what's his name, Kevin O'Connell, off the Thursday night. So I suspect he's going to have a nice script here. So we like the Colts to have success. The other thing I like is the Colts defense. It looked okay last week. They had a 57% pressure rate against the Houston Texans. But I think that's a mirage. I'd like you if anyone watched
the Texans all line is bad.
The Texans are abysmal. They I don't know what they're doing, but they cannot protect anyone. No. So I think the Colts defense looked competent last week, but I don't think they are really. And I think a bit of extra time for O'Connell. He should be cooking them in the first half. But that also, I would say, you look at the Vikings numbers after the script, and they're like 23rd in efficiency. They drop off fairly significantly when Sam Darnold's left to his own devices. So I would stick to first half, first quarter.
Once he runs out of the plays that he understands, Would you not look at doing like a first half total? So in terms of even back into the over, so you get like there's a few options on Matchbook. 23 seems to be the consensus line, 23.5. That kind of way. Would you look at that? Given
I bet that
you can bet them both. Like, so you could actually do the bet builder over 9.5 and then bet it into over 23.5, something like that.
Yeah, I bet over 23 earlier today.
Good man. All right. You mentioned a few of the Colts receivers there. My favorite of the bunch, and in terms of the success potentially, know that Flacco is there. And even, Richardson when he was there as well, he had success here. But Downs out of the slot, Josh Downs. Remember last year I had him 3 or 4 weeks in a row and he just kept winning bets and just, he's just a great player and he just suits, it's the system, the Steichen system suits him. And in Flacco's 2 starts this season, Downs has had a 25% target share and a 31% first read look as well off Flacco, which is encouraging here for this one. And also the Vikings against slot receivers this season have been pretty poor. They've allowed the 6th most receiving yards to that position. And what I like about Downs is that, yes, he's out of the slot, but some of these slot receivers, they kind of just do, they do various things, and it's a lot of like this West Coast offense, but this guy can get vertical as well. So there's a big play element there. So 60 plus receiving yards, you can back at 188 at Matchbook. I don't see that market coming down too much at all. Obviously, it's favorable conditions indoors as well. So yeah, give me all the Josh Downs this week. I'll be playing him up in the ladder, sir. I'll be playing a few ladders here with him. For wide receiver, mate, this guy's pretty good. I quoted the Matchbook price here too, just for full disclosure. I know you got him at a bit of a better price. Justin Jefferson, anytime TD for the Vikings.
Yes, this is. I think you can play the over 85.5 or so. So, well, we all know about Jefferson anyway. Second in the league in yards per route run. 40%. He's got 40% of the Vikings receiving yards this year. But what I like specifically about the matchup is the Colts, who run a hell of a lot of single high. They run 4th most single high in the NFL. 64% of their snaps have single high safety. Jefferson against single high leads the NFL, 446 receiving yards and 12 reception of 15 plus yards if you want to go long reception. So I fancy some explosives for Jefferson.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's fair enough, man. I'm trying to get this number on the first half, that bet builder, 23.5 over, and that's just 192 on its own. And if you add that, and if you add the first quarter one as well, let's just take a quick look at that over 9.5. It's 2.6. Now, it's obviously highly correlated, given that you're expecting at least 10 points in the first quarter, and then you're just expecting 40 in the second half. One you'd bet, or would you just advise just to do 2 singles on that, man?
I prefer to build it separately. So first quarter over and Flacco yards over, or
Getcha.
Josh Downs over, and then first half over and Jefferson TD. Just sort of blend it up because, as you say, the correlation just dings you a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah, no, all good. The option is there in Matchbook anyway as well. But I'm putting in the first half for you as well there, mate, on the selection. Let's stay on the bet builder of the week on that one, because obviously, we have enough selections there that we can populate a bet builder. So we've come up with generally speaking, four legs, max 3 maybe minimum for bet builders. There's no point getting stupid short prices, but the one we've come up with is Josh Downs 60 plus receiving yards, Colts team points over 20.5, Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown score, and the total in the first quarter is over 9.5. That pays 7.5 or 13-2 at matchbook.com. And if you've been backing those in recent weeks, and if you're having 10 quid in it, you're getting 10 quid back in free bets. So let's keep it rolling. And they're going to click. But that's 3 selections from me, Brad. So more pressure on you, mate. There's only 1 selection from me. Sorry, 3 selections from you, 1 selection from me on that one. All right. Guy back last week, Brad. Tight end week. Did you know that it was National Tight End Day on Sunday? Because it never really got mentioned on Red Zone coverage at all. So I didn't know.
What we do need to do is next year stick them all in an ACCA.
I saw
it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah. One guy that actually used to work on Matchbook, Sean, he put it into the Telegram group as well. And I think did you see that slip? He was working off patties, but there was definitely at least 7 or 8 of them. And it obviously is a thing, stupidly enough, that they just seem to get more targets on the day. And, it was a definite real correlation. But yeah, 100%. I was heavy on them last year. It wasn't even for that reason. I wasn't even playing that angle. But
you mentioned it. I know you mentioned it on the show. You said it's tight end week, and we should have been like. It really was. I didn't realize how much of a thing. It's like the end of season incentives, where they're trying to get contracts, and it's like, we'll bet them. So I think, next year, if you get it in early enough, and it's the one I was fuming about was George Kittle, because apparently I didn't realize this. He came up with the day, it was his.
Oh, did he? I didn't know.
And then so he was the Sunday night game, and I'm going in the middle of the game like, what have I not backed all these? And I was like, I can't chase it now with George Kittle. And then obviously he went up for 130 yards and a touchdown. You
probably still got a better than player, yeah.
And then I heard the next day, I was like, oh, he came up with it. I was like, okay, that was a really open goal that you moron.
It's such an ego-driven league too, though. That in terms of those targets, that guys, they demand the ball from the quarterback. And they come up with this plan, and in certain game states you're just going to get it. So look, Cade Otton last week, I think I'm back to 45 plus, but sure, he doubled that. He got 2 touchdowns, 10 targets, 9 catches, and obviously the defense is coming up this week is tougher than the Falcons last week, but the Chiefs haven't been wholly spectacular against this position. They're going to bottle up what wide receivers the Bucs do have. But Otton, again, should get plenty of work, and they're 9-point dogs, close to 9-point dogs. They're going to be playing catch-up here. Baker's swinging around. They won't be able to run the ball, so there's going to be plenty of opportunities. And potentially, we were talking about in the Telegram group as well, my old Mucker brothers had Rashad White over 3.5 receptions. That came up easy last night. Between White, actually, and Bucky Irving, I think they had 12 catches. So you could be looking at angles there as well. Look, Chiefs going to take some of that away, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities here. So Cade Otton, 50 plus receiving yards, 196 at Matchbook is my bet. Bro, we only covered 4 games this week, 5 games, but that's okay. Talk to me about one other one, mate. Quality over quantity. Mate, talk to me about the one other one you wanted to touch on. Rams, Seahawks. Rams have gone favourites here overnight, 194 at Matchbook. To win this one. What are you seeing here? What would your angle be? They wouldn't be favourites a couple of weeks ago.
They wouldn't, but I think it's justified, to be honest. This is a stat from Nate Tice, who's working at Yahoo now, used to be at The Athletic. When Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Stafford, and Kyron Williams are all on the field, last 2 seasons, the offense has averaged 0.24 EPA per play, which would basically put them on the same level as the great offenses of the last 20 years, like the 2007 Patriots, the 2011 Packers, the 2018 Chiefs, where Mahomes threw 50 touchdown passes. That's how good the Rams are with those 4 on the field. Now, obviously, Puka left practice yesterday. Looks like he is going to be on the field. But to me, if they play, I don't think they're priced like that yet. I think, if all season long they'd been like a top 5 NFL offense, which is probably what the talent suggests they are, I don't think they're minus 106, which is what they are currently at Seattle, because Seattle's very mid-team. I think it'd be 3 maybe. So yeah, that would be the look. Obviously, Puka Nacua pending.
DK definitely out for Seattle. He wasn't.
Don't know that
but
either. Yeah, he's not practiced yet. Today's kind of the big day by the sound of it.
He's huge for them. Just don't like the receivers elsewhere. At least,
it's very. There's no field stretching at all without.
No, there's zero.
Just lock
zero.
Yeah, Jackson Smith underneath.
There was. I wanted to talk about the quick angle with him actually. Like if there's a way you can get over receptions and under receiving yards. Maybe this isn't the one to do it, but in a kind of a defense that are good after the tackling after the catch, because the way Ryan Grubb's offense works, he seems to be in this kind of like bubble screen, and it's like one of the most annoying things ever when it doesn't work. And it's worked at the college level with Grubb, with Washington or whatever, but like there's definitely an angle there somewhere if you can find an over receptions and under yards. I'll look into that. And yeah, might put something in the Telegram group in the next couple of weeks, see if there's something there. Speaking of which, that Telegram group, some good guys in there. A lot of people throwing in their selections, and which is ballsy enough to do in front of nearly 300 people. So yeah, we'll leave the link on the podcast notes. Feel free to get involved, and we'll do bet recaps there as well. Anything else? Speaking of bet recaps, let's just run through what we have. Falcons team total. Brad is on over 27.5 196. I like Bo Nix over 219.5 passing yards against the porous Ravens pass D. Evan Ingram back to the well, 50 plus receiving yards to the Jags against the Eagles. We got a whole host of bets in the Colts Vikings. Brad's taking Colts team total over 20.5 at 198. Joe Flacco's longest completion over 35.5 yards. I'm liking Josh Downs. Give me all the Josh Downs. 60 plus receiving yards, 188. Brad is on Justin Jefferson anytime TD, 1.8. Brad is also liking the Colts Vikings over 9.5 first quarter points, and also over 23.5 points in the first half, which is currently available at 193 at matchbook.com. I like Kate Otten as well, just to wrap it up, as we covered 50 plus receiving yards. Brad, best bet for week 9, man.
Let's do that first quarter over 9.5 in Indianapolis and Minnesota.
Lovely. I'm taking Josh Downs, 60 plus receiving yards, 188. I'm kind of like, man, I'm up on Sunday night. I'm having one of these kind of like mini stag things. So I'm getting married at the end of November, but I'm not really inviting that many people, so you can't really have a big stag when you're not inviting people. So I'm away with the guys for the night, and no baby keep me awake, so I'm going to stand up for that, man. So yeah, look forward to it. Can't wait. Bet Builder Central that game, man.
Yeah. I think it'll be a good one.
That was just my way of saying you're not invited to the wedding too, but I just an FYI.
I'll take it.